Von Allen Sports.
Play aggressive. We got to play aggressive to win. Play to win. Turn it loose. Stay in the moment. One play at a time.
He wasn't rogue, do you think, or was he a rogue coach?
In the years that I spent covering the league, I had several instances on several different teams of unofficial bounties, usually player to player, high-moneyed veteran paying a rookie to maybe knock a guy out.
This was something that had been going on in the NFL locker rooms forever, probably still does.
Was that something that took place when you were still in the game in the NFL in the 50s and 60s?
Yes. But the bottom line, it didn't always work. We tried it against Pittsburgh because of John Henry Johnson and his antics, but they never could get him. So nobody ever collected. It was almost a waste of time because when you play great football, you don't have time to try to hurt someone unless it's really in a grievous kind of situation. You have to try to play within the rules, hit as hard as you can hit, but also be intelligent in how you hit. So it's not very easy to just take someone out because someone gives you money.
The hit on Kurt Warner was a clean hit. Even he said so. Yes, the high-low hit on Favre should have been flagged, but it wasn't. But we see that happen a lot too. Football is violent. One of the tactics used by the opposition is to know your weaknesses and to exploit them. I can tell you this, with the money these players are making, if you're not already motivated to make a big hit, but a few thousand measly bucks will suddenly transform you into the Terminator, you're going to have issues being a success in this league. Now, Drew Brees made a somewhat controversial tweet stating, if NFL fans were told there were weapons of mass destruction enough times, they'd believe it. But what happens when you don't find any? Bravo, Drew. I couldn't agree with this statement more.
And found a lot of evidence in the emails that a bounty program existed.
Whatever does happen for people who were wrong.
Yes, I'm not saying that you just turn a complete blind eye to this. I just think that to act like this is solely in the name of player safety is very naive. I mean, let's be honest. It's not just about eliminating bounties from the National Football League. It's also about the other elements as it relates to player safety and the debate over whether you can go to an 18-game regular season and the concussion lawsuits and the various lawsuits.
In the NFL's defense, they were in hot water. They had to do something. The Saints were the perfect scapegoat. It doesn't make anything they did okay, but because of the outlandish and grandiose scale of the allegations and the media exposure, it took a fairly common practice to something that sounds like America is going to war with Russia.
Because it really comes down to semantics, bounties for lack of a better word, and that now is going to encompass so many things.
And the punishments had to be severe enough to look forceful. 1 year for Coach Payton. Indefinite suspension for Coach Williams. Even the general manager got suspended, along with several players, including Jonathan Vilma, who got 1 full year.
And then all of a sudden, we just go on this tear, forget just the Super Bowl, just a tear of 3 years where we were kicking and we were good. And it felt right. And it felt so good that we were doing everything to keep that. And the only thing that could stop us was the BountyGate, you know, and it was just like, God, we had such a good thing.
I've yet to hear the specifics of any allegations against me, nor have I seen any evidence that supports what the NFL alleges in its press release.
A statement, was that the player himself or was that a lawyer speaking on the player's behalf?
It just came from him.
Was he invited to the commissioner's office to speak on the commissioner's behalf and then refused to show up? Was he one of those players?
I'm assuming yes.
I don't care what they say. It means nothing to me. As far as I'm concerned, they're all guilty. All those players that the commissioner named, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not giving any of them a pass. None of them.
I believe Fujita did meet with the commissioner.
Okay.
And I'm told that Fujita himself did meet with the commissioner April 16th.
Okay. They have no idea why they're being suspended for so long. Will Smith only 4 games, but for things that they say they did not do.
I need to give a public apology to Jonathan Vilma.
Let's not forget the $500,000 fine and a loss of 2 consecutive second-round draft picks. Now, punishments like these are strange to me. It's like when a soldier kills an enemy combatant, and when they get home, they are put on trial for doing the job that they were sent there to do. But then they're persecuted for an alteration in the manner that they performed that task. It's weird. Your job as a defensive player is to knock the piss out of a guy. To hit him so hard he dislodges the ball. Or to hit him so hard he will be thinking about you next time and not his own game on the field. All of this is, of course, within legal on-field limits. There are fines, stuff like that for a reason. But a player who goes out there and hits someone to collect on $10,000 will end up getting fined by the NFL $50,000 for the hit. So they literally lost 40 grand on a bounty hit. That's just idiocy. Come on, man. That's why I find it hard to believe that money was a motivating factor for these guys. I just don't think so. The math is stupid. But as long as Albert Haynesworth got to play, don't talk to me about player safety and integrity of the game and all that nonsense. Have I ever told you guys I hate hypocrisy? I hate it. Absolutely hate it. Ugh. Drives me nuts. I know sometimes it can't be avoided, but to blatantly do it consistently is something I despise to my very core. And that is what BountyGate is to me. Hypocrisy, power, and PR.
I just believe in getting as much information as possible. We respect the players. This is important because it's a player safety matter, and we think that we need to get some input from them.
From the only audio recording we have of Williams, this is basic coach speak.
And we're going to swarm, we're going to dominate the line of scrimmage, and we're going to the f***ing head. Every single one of you, before you get off the pile, affect the head. Early, affect the head. Continue, touch and hit the head.
Do not lie to the NFL. Do not cross the NFL. Do not try to outsmart the NFL. Not only will they take offense, but if the opportunity presents itself, they will exploit it to their benefit, just like any company would.
I don't particularly agree how the league doles out suspensions. I don't particularly agree with what the league is doing now.
And this was to send a message. Why did the coaches get more time than the players?
I am speechless. Sean Payton is a great man, coach, and mentor. The best there is. I need to hear an explanation for this punishment.
At the time, the players' union was all up their butt.
Well, certainly satisfied in the ruling that he did not believe that there was any evidence supporting the suspensions of the players.
Theoretically, they could have chosen any team and made it look pretty bad. But the Saints were the perfect target. They had the right coach to suspend, they had the right defensive coordinator who was known for brashness, so it would be believable to the public that he's the villain. And most of all, they had an insider, a rat, someone willing to sell out the Saints. The NFL had to not only send a message, but it had to be loud and strong. And they were also in trouble because they had been accused of covering up CTE, which is true. They've known about it for years. It just didn't have a name. As long as it was a secret, they were okay with the players getting knocked out. But now, it's public. Like any good company or politician would do, pander to the optics of the mob, you have to have a fall guy.
Go down and cut the dog's throat. Take your time with it. Let him die slowly.
Now, the NFL had their scapegoat, but was still taking heat from the NFL Players Association union, and in the meantime, pissing off every defensive player in the league. They solved this by vacating the players' suspensions, also in the hopes of Jonathan Vilma dropping his defamation lawsuit.
And certainly disappointed in the way in which they conducted an investigation, because I now know, having read and seen all of the testimony, that there was certainly no evidence that the bounties existed. I understand how to do investigations, and the investigation that the league did was sloppy. The investigation that they did was more outcome focused.
However, Goodell didn't arbitrate this decision because he had to save face. He can hardly look like he's sending a clear message about player safety and then backtrack just because the players got pissed off. So he called on his predecessor, former Commissioner Paul Tagliabue, to rule on it. Remember, just like on the field, there's a strategy to win a football game. Pieces are moved from the board. It's the same in business. It's a game too. For better or for worse, whatever you might think, This is just how it's done. Remember, no one makes themselves millionaires and billionaires without pissing someone off, or making a cutthroat decision, or someone else paying for something that they are innocent of. It's just how the world works. Show me a righteous person, and I will show you a person who isn't a millionaire. Philosophically, we're splitting hairs here. The entire BountyGate case is the difference between being paid to hurt someone or being told to do it for free. That is essentially what this comes down to, because you have every team doing it for free. The addition of the money bounty pool makes it more sinister. A financial reward changes things for people. Money has a way of making everything sound bigger, better, or in this case, darker. Humans respond to anything that has money attached to it. I mean, think about it. I always say, you want to learn about a person's character, who they really are, owe them money, or let them owe you money. You will find out even your relatives and your best friends will start to act weird and uncharacteristically. Money does this to people, even pointless little amounts. It's weird, it's very weird. So when the NFL says there's a bounty, that easily gets headlines and takes something that is bad to something that is massive, an evil scandal. Whoa. It's basic programming of the masses. It's easy to do, especially when you have billions of dollars. We are programmed every day in politics, sports, food, entertainment. Constantly, someone is behind the scenes targeting and marketing. The same way I put keywords into this video, I am literally setting the parameters. So once you understand that adding that spice called money to something, it's like a steroid. Now you can understand the strategy behind it all. Swaying public opinion is important at this level of the game. And if you can't sway it by suggestion, you force it by lining up scapegoats.
Now you got a rogue outfit, at least some people on the defense of the New Orleans Saints who are encouraging players by incentivizing them to go out and injure the opposing quarterback or somebody on the opponent. I don't believe that every team in the league is offering players $1,500 to knock out the opposing quarterback every Sunday in the league. I think it's rare, in fact.
Now, keep in mind, we have no evidence that Greg Williams ever offered money. We just have the tape that is captioned implying he was doing that. He could be saying a million things, but one in particular, I would say he has preached that before regarding, if you hit big, you will get a big contract. Remember before in the video about toughness in the modern NFL where a guy will take the fine in order to set up his reputation as a fierce player, which will benefit him at contract time?
Initially, with the NFL's media campaign, I think it was portrayed in a way that, hey, these guys are being paid to go out and intentionally hurt people. And that was never the case, and it's yet to be proven. Unfortunately, I think the perception has kind of become reality in that regard, but I think that all that will come out in due time, and these guys will be vindicated.
But these players, they made more money during the time that they listened to that Greg Williams speech than they would have going out there and ending a guy's career because of money from a pool.
If one team does it to another, that team is going to simply reciprocate. And so it's not in your interest to do it.
That team's going to start coming after your guys.
Let's be logical here. The videos posted around the internet that were so-called bounty hits, they just looked like aggressive, hard-nosed football to me. I saw very few that were penalties. Majority were good, clean, and fierce hits. Now, that was the style Greg Williams coached. They sacrificed finesse and a more cerebral defensive approach to favor an aggressive, in-your-face type of defense. And they were good at what they did. The players did a lot of what was in that speech. They hit early and they hit often. That is coached by a lot of coaches to set the tone. And most importantly, someone who maybe hasn't been around team sports, they might perceive that as what he said as horrifying. Nearly everything he said on that tape, I myself have heard from many coaches and in different sports. I've heard variations of that rhetoric in junior high school basketball. I've heard it from my own coaches as a kid in football. I heard it from professional coaches simply by being around and on the practice field. These things were said to me by many hockey coaches. It's just how it is. But for football, most of all, is violent. Ed Werder had a source that claimed the league blew this out of proportion. That really it was only the Warner and Favre game and not for 3 years. But again, that's another journalist. So who knows, right? Greg Williams recently got hired as a Jets D coordinator, but he clearly will never elevate to head coach because of this.
with Greg again. What are your thoughts based on your history together?
So, dude, what, this is a National Enquirer question or what? I like Greg. Made him friends. Next question.
You cannot fight City Hall. They always win. But in this case, City Hall is a billion-dollar organization that lets you play a child's game for millions of dollars. But with that said, I don't believe a person's character should be dragged through the mud. That's when it affects innocent people, the families, people related to them, people they know, their whole life, how they're going to be treated in society. The Saints, anytime something goes wrong for them, you will hear jokes from other fans saying it was karma, that they deserved it. It's the BountyGate curse and crap like that.
If they lose this game, it will be time to panic, boom.
Shoot, if they lose this game, we're going to have to break out the cage. Because that's the only thing going to fix that defense. I mean, I ain't talking about no bounty. I'm just talking about player performance program. Like that's the only remedy key after this one.
The Saints' logo and reputation is synonymous with BountyGate more than it is their amazing quarterback or their great coach or their passionate fan base and even the resilience of the city. Because BountyGate was promoted to the NFL fan base and it was targeted to the core of the fans' passions and emotions, which is giving them an excuse for why the Saints win and why your team did not. So, did Williams and his staff say some hardcore things to make their players believe that they wanted them to injure opponents if given the chance? Yes, of course. Did the NFL have right to punish the Saints? Well, yes, because they can do anything they want. Everyone in the league gave the NFL owners and Goodell absolute power to hand down penalties. Hit judge, jury, and executioner. But that's the contract everyone signed. Now, I agree with Goodell that the NFL had to take a strong stance against head injuries and trying to minimize CTE development in players. I agree with Goodell that the NFL product is better if there is a balance between exciting legal hits and players being able to play a complete season. I would be pissed if I found out my favorite player got his knee taken out because Williams ordered the code red. But to be frank, I'm assuming that every defensive player is trying to hurt his opponent, but within the confines of a good play. So, while I state this, the BountyGate investigation was a witch hunt, plain and simple. It was something that could have been handled quietly behind closed doors. It was blown out of proportion majorly to serve the NFL's agenda. While I completely sympathize with the fan base, I just want to say this. I hope you've moved on. I hope you don't consistently believe that the NFL is out to get you. They only got you for BountyGate because you were an irresistible and convenient target. If anything, I'd say the way the Saints have lost the last few years is going to fuel them. Brees will be in the running for MVP again. Now, of course, I understand you wanted to be in the Super Bowl against the Patriots. But what if you lost and you ended up never getting back again? But what if the way you lost to the Rams ends up being fuel to actually win in this season's Super Bowl? That would be better, right? So support your team. Believe in them. Ignore the haters. And for fans of other teams, stop with the Saints curse or the Saints were delivered their karma crap. This is that hypocrisy I cannot stand. Your team had someone who was doing that too, I can guarantee you. And remember, Vikings fans, I know you believe that the Diggs walk-off touchdown was justice for the Favre game. Okay, fine. Then that means it's over then, right? Beware of further ridiculing. Remember, the Saints, they have a Lombardi. Falcons fans, you can talk about a Saints curse all you want, but they can easily say to you 28-3, and they can also mention their Lombardi. See what I mean? And this goes for everyone. Just be aware of your own team's transgressions before the mockery begins. Your favorite team could be next, and then suddenly you will feel like the Saints fans feel every time someone takes a shot at them. Basically, if your team is winning and you get too good, they might come after you. The other owners are the biggest babies when it comes to stuff like this. If you win, you become the subject of envy and resentment, and anything can happen after that. I want to thank all of you for watching, and I really hope you subscribe. And if there's a subject you would like me to tackle for your team, Make a suggestion in the comment section and we'll see about it. Also, I have a Patreon account set up now, so if you would like to support the channel in that manner as well, I have several tier incentives listed there. My goal is to get a website up and running that will provide all types of cool things for you guys. I want the website to be a reflection of the time and effort I spend and put into my videos. You subscribing here is awesome and I appreciate it. You have a million things to choose from to spend your time, and your time is valuable, but you spent some of it watching my channel and I appreciate that more than you will ever know. I also ask if you would mind sharing my videos that you enjoy on your social media sites and in any groups on Facebook that you might be a part of. The larger the channel gets, the faster I can get out videos to you, which is my ultimate ongoing goal here. Thank you so much.
Vaughn Allen Sports.